Pack your shame and leave my house. Go and meet your God. Maybe he will give you the child you failed to give me.
How did it get to this? And what did her life turn into after her husband kicked her out for being barren? Grab your popcorn, relax, and let me take you into a story full of twists.
Not too long ago, in the busy city of Oba, there lived a man named Chuka. He was tall, proud, and full of himself. His wife, Uju, was a gentle and graceful woman who loved him with all her heart. But love alone was not enough. For 7 long years, their marriage was childless, and to Chuka, it was Uju's fault. Every time she cried or prayed, he found new ways to torment her. He mocked her in front of friends, family, and even strangers. At parties, he would compare her to other women who had children. You call yourself a woman? What good is a woman who cannot give her husband a child? He would say, often and with pride. Uju endured in silence. She prayed every morning and every night. She fasted. She went to different churches seeking prayers. She visited traditional healers when desperation set in. But nothing changed. She begged Chuka repeatedly to go for a medical test with her. She would kneel before him, tears streaming down her face. Please, my husband, let us just go and check. Let us know what the problem is so we can solve it together. But he refused every single time. Me, Chuka the lion, I can never be the problem. Do you know how many women throw themselves at me? If I wanted children, I could have 10 by now with different women. You are the problem, not me, he would shout. Pride was his illness and it ran deep. The years went by slowly and painfully. Uju became a shadow of herself. She lost weight, her bright smile faded, the light in her eyes dimmed. Chuka's family was no help either. His mother blamed Uju openly. His sisters whispered about her behind her back. Only Uju's own mother stood by her, praying and encouraging her to hold on. One cold evening, after another heated argument about her inability to have children, Chuka lost his temper completely. He grabbed Uju's clothes from the wardrobe and threw them outside into the compound. Go and meet your God. Maybe he will give you the child you failed to give me. Pack your shame and leave my house, he shouted for the neighbors to hear. Uju stood there humiliated, tears flowing freely. She gathered her scattered clothes quietly and walked away from the only man she had ever loved. She went back to her mother's house, broken and defeated. For weeks, she barely ate, she barely spoke. She just stared at the ceiling, wondering what she had done to deserve such pain. Months later, Chuka married again. This time, a flashy young woman named Nkechi. She was young and beautiful. Chuka paraded her around town like a trophy. He wanted everyone to see that he had moved on and upgraded. Now watch me have children with a real woman, he boasted to his friends. Meanwhile, Uju had decided to start over. In her loneliness, she moved to Abuja. She was determined to rebuild her life far away from the pain and shame. She got a job at a private farm as an administrative assistant. The pay was modest, but it was honest work, and it gave her something to focus on. It was at this farm that she met Tobe. He was the company's accountant, a kind and humble man who respected everyone. Tobe noticed Uju's sadness. He would greet her warmly every morning. He would ask how her day was going. Slowly, he began to invite her for lunch in the company cafeteria. They would talk about simple things: work, family, life. He never pushed, he never rushed. He just listened and cared. And slowly, like a flower receiving water after a long drought, Uju began to live again. She started smiling. She started laughing. The light returned to her eyes. After a year of friendship, Tobe asked her out on a proper date. Uju was scared. She did not want to go through the pain again, but something about Tobe felt different. He felt safe. Their relationship grew naturally, and when Tobe proposed 6 months later, Uju hesitated. She sat him down and told him everything. She told him about Chuka, about the mockery, about the 7 childless years. "I cannot bear children," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "The doctors could not find anything wrong with me, but 7 years is proof enough. If you marry me, you may never have children. I cannot do that to you." Tobe reached across the table and held her hands gently. He looked into her eyes and smiled. "Uju, if God gave me you, He has already given me enough. Children are a blessing, but they are not the only blessing. You are a blessing to me. If we have children, we will thank God. If we do not, we will still thank God, but I will not let you go." Uju cried that night, but for the first time in years, there were tears of joy. They married quietly in a small ceremony with just close family and friends. No noise, no show, just pure love and commitment. Life was peaceful for a while. Uju found happiness in simple things: cooking for her husband, going to church together, taking evening walks. She had accepted that she might never have children, and she was learning to be okay with that. Then 1 year into their marriage, something strange happened. Uju started feeling very tired at work. She would fall asleep at her desk. She felt dizzy often. She thought it was stress or perhaps malaria. One afternoon, she collapsed at work. Her colleagues rushed her to the hospital. Tobe left his office immediately and met her there, his heart racing with fear. After running several tests, the doctor came into the room with a smile on his face. "Congratulations, madam. You are pregnant," he said. Uju thought she had heard wrong. "Pregnant?" she whispered. "Yes, and not just pregnant. You are carrying triplets, 3 healthy babies." The room went silent. Then Uju burst into tears. But this time, nothing was wrong. Everything was finally right. The woman once mocked as barren, the woman thrown out of her home, the woman called useless, was about to become a mother of 3. 3 years passed like a beautiful dream. Uju gave birth to 3 healthy children. She named them Chimanda, Chiamaka, and Chinedu. They were her pride and joy. Tobe got a promotion at work, and their lives changed completely. They moved to a bigger house. Uju opened her own nursery school, pouring all the love she had into caring for children. Life was good. Life was peaceful. One sunny afternoon, a courier arrived at her doorstep with a glittery envelope. It was an invitation card, a naming ceremony invitation, and it was from Chuka. Her hands trembled slightly as she read. After all these years, after all the pain, he was reaching out, but not to apologize. No, he was inviting her to his baby's naming ceremony. The words on the card read, "Come and see what the Lord has done for us." Uju read it over and over. The message was clear. He wanted her to come and see that he finally had a child. He wanted her to come and feel the pain of her supposed failure. He still believed she is barren. He still had no idea that she had moved on. He had no idea she had children. When Tobe came home that evening, she showed him the invitation. He read it carefully, his face serious. "Do you want to go?" he asked. "I do not know," Uju replied honestly. "Part of me wants to ignore it, but part of me feels like I should go." Tobe thought for a moment and looked at her wife with wisdom in his eyes. "Just go, my dear. Sometimes God allows mockers to become witnesses. Let him see what God has done for you, not to shame him, but to show him that he was wrong about you." Uju thought about it for 2 days. She prayed about it, and finally she made her decision. She would go. But she would go in style. She would go with her head held high. She would go with her 3 beautiful children. The day of the ceremony arrived. It was a Saturday morning. Chuka's compound was filled with guests. There were canopies set up everywhere. A live band was playing. Coolers of food and drinks lined the walls. Chuka had spared no expense. He wanted everyone to see his success. He walked around greeting guests with Nkechi by his side, carrying their baby. He was smiling widely, accepting congratulations from everyone. His chest was puffed out with pride once again. Finally, God has blessed me with a child, he kept saying. It just took the right woman. Around noon, when the ceremony was in full swing, the sound of a luxury car engine echoed from the gate. It was a deep, powerful sound that made people turn their heads. A sleek black Rolls Royce pulled up slowly to the entrance. The security guard at the gate stood at attention, unsure of who this important guest could be. Every eye turned toward the car. The compound grew quieter. The driver stepped out first and opened the back door. And then, like a queen, Uju stepped out. She was dressed in a flowing royal blue lace gown. She looked like a woman who had been through fire and came out as gold. But that was not what shocked everyone. Holding her hands were 3 beautiful children, 2 little boys in matching white kaftan and a girl in a white dress. They were about 3 years old, identical in their features, clearly triplets. Gasps rippled through the crowd like waves. Is that not Uju, Chuka's barren ex-wife? Wait, are those her children? The whispers spread like wildfire. People stood up from their seats to get a better look. Chuka was standing near the canopy, talking to some guests when he heard the commotion. He turned around and froze completely. His mouth fell open. His eyes went wide. Barren Uju? With triplets? How? When? He muttered, unable to process what he was seeing. His mind raced. This could not be real. This had to be a dream. The woman he threw out. The woman he mocked. The woman he blamed for 7 years. She was standing in his compound with 3 children. Nkechi, his new wife, was sitting under the canopy holding their baby. When she saw Uju, her face went pale. Uju walked gracefully. Her children held her hands tightly, looking around with innocent curiosity. Finally, she reached where Chuka was standing. He was still frozen, still unable to speak properly. Trying to gather himself and save face in front of his guests, he forced a smile onto his face. Uju, you came. I am surprised to see you. And these children? Yes, Chuka. I came as you invited me. These are my children, my triplets. This is Chimamanda, Chiamaka, and Chinedu. The children greeted politely, just as their mother had taught them. Chuka's mind was spinning. He did not know what to say. He wanted to ask questions but could not find the words. Finally, trying to maintain his pride, he said, "Well, congratulations to you. I hope you can finally see what you could not give me. God has blessed me too, as you can see." The crowd had gone quiet now, sensing the tension. This was no longer just a naming ceremony. This was a confrontation. Uju smiled calmly. "Congratulations to you too, Chuka. Your baby is beautiful. But before you boast too much, I have to ask you one question. Are you absolutely sure the child is yours?" The compound went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Every guest turned to look at Chuka. His face smile vanished instantly. His face turned red. "What nonsense are you talking about, Uju? What kind of question is that?" Uju's voice remained calm but firm. "It is a fair question, Chuka. For 7 years, you called me barren. You mocked me. You threw me out of your house like trash. Yet here I stand today, A mother of not one, not two, but 3 children. You refused to go for medical tests because you were too proud. You insisted the problem was mine, but clearly you were wrong about me. So I ask again, are you sure about this child? She paused and looked around at the crowd. Maybe today you should finally agree to the medical tests you always refused. A simple DNA test would answer everything, do you not think? The guests erupted in whispers. Chuka's face turned from red to pale. His hands clenched into fists. He looked like he wanted to say something, but the words would not come out. All eyes turned to Nkechi. She had been quiet this whole time, but now she was shaking visibly. A DNA test would be the perfect way to end this conversation and prove me wrong, Uju added softly, her eyes on Nkechi. That was the final push Nkechi needed. She broke down completely. She fell to her knees right there on the ground. Loud sobs escaped her throat. Please, please, she cried out. Chuka rushed toward her, confused and angry. Nkechi, what are you doing? Get up, stop this nonsense. But Nkechi could not stop. The guilt had been eating her alive for months, and now it was all coming out. I am sorry, Chuka. I am so sorry. I did not want to end up like her. She pointed at Uju. You refused to see a doctor. You kept saying you were fine. But month after month, nothing happened. I was so scared. Your mother kept pressuring me. Your sisters kept asking questions. I did not know what to do. The crowd leaned in closer, not wanting to miss a single word. I was desperate, Chuka. I did not want you to throw me out like you threw her out. So I, she could barely get the words out. The baby is not yours. I am sorry. I slept with someone else to get pregnant. The compound erupted. Who? Chuka shouted, his voice cracking. Who did you sleep with? Nkechi continued sobbing. The gatesman, Ibrahim. I am so sorry. I just wanted to give you a child. I thought if I gave you a child, you would be happy and we could just move on. Chuka staggered backward like he had been physically hit. His mother, who was sitting nearby, let out a loud wail and started crying. Chuka's face was a mixture of pain, anger, and humiliation. His whole world had just collapsed in front of everyone. The child he had been celebrating was not his. The wife he had married to replace Uju had betrayed him. And worst of all, this revelation came at the hands of the woman he had spent years mocking. He looked at Uju, his eyes filled with tears now. You mean, I cannot, he stammered, unable to finish the sentence. The reality was finally hitting him. If Uju had triplets with another man, and Nkechi got pregnant by the gateman, then the problem was indeed him all along. Uju looked at him, not with hatred, not with joy at his downfall, but with pity. She felt sorry for him, sorry that his pride destroyed his life. I was never the barren one, Chuka. You were. You just did not know it because you refused to find out. You chose pride over truth, and this is where it brought you. With those final words, Uju took her children's hands. She turned gracefully and walked back toward her car. Her head was held high. As the Rolls Royce drove away from the compound, Chuka fell to his knees in the dust. His carefully planned ceremony had turned into his greatest shame. Moral lesson: never mock someone because of what life has not yet given them. You do not know the chapter God is still writing. Treat people with kindness and respect because life has a way of turning tables when you least expect it. The end. Thanks for watching.